Hi, welcome back. This is Andrew Sears, and this next section is going to be on designing the course syllabus and the Learning Management System introduction and templates for those. So the first thing that you did was you worked on the course outcomes, and then once you have that, you can start on a draft syllabus. Now, we're not going to finalize that till the end of the course, but we want to get started on that. And I want to talk with you about some of the principles in designing a syllabus. So one of the big challenges that you have in designing the syllabus is that you have different stakeholders. And there's a spectrum on what I would say is an institution-centered syllabus or institution-centered anything that you do versus student-centered. And the subtitle of this is why many students never read the syllabus. Whenever I was a student, honestly, I never read the syllabus. And the reason was because the syllabus wasn't written for me. It was written for the institution. It was written based on requirements from accreditors. And since then, I studied computer science at MIT. I have studied extensively usability, and I realized that if you tried to write something usable, it would never look like a syllabus. So the real reason is because syllabus or syllabi have been designed largely by lawyers. They use a syllabus checklist, whereas something that's student-centered is going to be out of the field of user interface design. It's going to use design principles, and the difference is that a syllabus is largely a verbose legal contract. It's ignored by students, and it's what you see at most accredited schools use, and there's regulatory reasons why we can't get around it, to be honest. Whereas something that's student-centered, it's going to be simple, like Apple products or like Facebook, like an iPhone. It's something that's going to be seen by the student, and an example, honestly, is how Udemy is designed. This in the courses, it's kind of the YouTube for courses. It's very simple. So there's a movement that's in reaction to this that people call the student-centered syllabus. And most of the training that we're giving you in this, the extra readings and the extra videos, are focused on this concept of a student-centered syllabus. And I think you should try to make this syllabus as student-centered as possible. But I think you got to recognize the reality is that we live under a regulated environment, and honestly, we can't make it designed like something from Apple because there's legal reasons why we can't do that. What I've done is I've just said I'll try to make it as user-friendly as possible, but I'm going to have other things that are a lot more user-friendly. So we try to have a student-centered course introduction in our learning management system, and that is a lot more. We try to make it a lot more usable, but even that, we're trying to be a little more comprehensive in what we include, and that's not that usable. The thing that is most usable is a brief personal video introduction, and that's something that a lot more students are going to look at. So as you go to the right, more and more students will look at things. So this is the general challenge, is you have these two tensions, and I think that the real solution is you try to get your syllabus to be as student-centered as possible, but then you try to have a more usable course introduction, and then you try to have a video also. So in designing a syllabus, there's several factors to consider. So one is, as I mentioned, student-centered principles. The other is you have to do what your accreditors and regulators say. Most will have specific requirements for things to include, at least in the catalog and often enrollment agreements. Our accreditor actually has checklists for those things, and our state that we're licensed in also has checklists to make sure that we have all those things. And it's probably a good idea for some of the key things that are in those checklists to be referenced in your syllabus. Because, as I mentioned, lawyers often are involved, and students can say, I wasn't aware of this thing. So, from the institutional perspective, a syllabus is often viewed like a legal document. How many times have you heard this conversation between a faculty and student the student said, well, I didn't know this, and the faculty says, well, it was in the syllabus. Well, that's like saying, yes, it was in that, 50-page legal contract that you signed whenever you click here to use this website. So it's not really fair to the students. What we need to do is we need to make it as usable as possible. So the other thing is the accuracy of information in the syllabus and course introduction. Now, it used to be that courses almost never changed, so you didn't need to change the syllabus and course introduction. But now, especially in the online world, the syllabus and course introduction may need to be changed a lot more often, and that adds to your cost. And if you don't update it, then it ends up being inaccurate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk through how this week's assignments will help you with a lot of these factors. So whenever you go into the rest of this week's assignments, you're going to see some material. Now, we have these required material largely because this course is designed so that it's basically the same material we use in a 3-credit fully accredited course. And so watch this video on designing a learner-centered syllabus by IDEA, and then read these reading resources, and then you can look at some of these other resources that are here, and I'm just going to talk you through a couple. So one is LAPU has some really good example syllabi. They actually have a syllabus management system that allows them to put all their syllabi materials into a database, and it allows them to follow all these best practices. So if you look at their syllabus, it has a course description, it has this overview section with a mission statement, and they're focused on adult learning. It has required resources, their outcomes written in a very effective way and tied to where they're assessing it. Then it has a section on course requirements, and I'm going to show you. So I run an institution, City Vision. We actually don't include this in our syllabi, partly because the frequency, it would need to be updated, and the fact that it's going to be different from every course. But that's a best practice to have that. And then they have things like their grading scale, and a lot of policies. So they have some policies that are spelled out, and then a lot of policies that are linked, and then they actually have the rubrics there. So their syllabi follow most of the best practices of all the things that you need to include. I'm not sure whether it's following all the best practices of student-centered. I haven't looked at it from that lens. And let me show you, just as a contrast, the syllabi that I use for City Vision University. So we so this is for our social entrepreneurship course, and we decided not to put the detailed information of our instructors, because we don't want to have to change the syllabi every time the instructors change. We have a short course description, we have course outcomes, then we have program outcomes. We have the required text, recommended text, and then we have everything and this is actually following the template that we're going to provide you in the assignment. We put a lot of the key information in this course schedule. So you can see there's different sections, and we follow 8-week format. You may follow a different format, so you can change that. We have the assignments and assessments in the middle, and then we have the projected hours, and the percent of the grade, and then what course objectives these things tie to. And we're still finishing up putting in the course objectives for this one. The idea, most accreditors will require that you show a calculation, that you follow what your country standard. In the U.S., we follow the Carnegie hour system. And then after you go through this section, we have the guidelines for if they're submitting papers, how they should do that. And then most of the guidelines, what we've done is we've actually made them so that they're links, partly because these we'll make minor changes to the wording. We don't want them to be inaccurate. And then we put at the end that the syllabus may be changed until the first day of the semester or of the term, and then the last date it was updated. So what you're going to do in your assignment is, so let me just go into your assignment. So we're going to provide you with a syllabus template, and you'll open up that syllabus template. So it's going to be using a template. And if you don't want to use our syllabus template, then you can upload your own template for this. And if you already have a good syllabus template you're using, then what you should do is use your current syllabus template, but then use the principles from this course to upgrade it and improve it. So you can fill this in similar to the way I showed you, based on whatever your the details of your organization are. Even if you're not accredited, it's a good idea to have a syllabus, because if you ever want your students to get credit, then an institution like City Vision could evaluate that. So what you're going to be doing in this assignment is you're going to make a copy of this like you've done in the other courses, then share it openly, and then you can look at these this LAPU example syllabi, and then APU has a course syllabus checklist that is really helpful, and you can look through their checklist, and they have a lot of items here of things to include, and you can go through. APU is a faith-based organization, so there may not be all the things that you include, but they're using a lot of the best practices. So you can look at this and figure out, what sort of statements that you want to include in there, and then the last thing that you're going to do is you're going to create a copy. We talked about this course review rubric, and the first part of this rubric is focus on the course overview and information. And what you're going to do is, in the course, in the first part you're going to be doing the syllabus, and the other part you're going to be doing the introduction. You want to make sure that all these things are covered. So use this as kind of a checklist to review. Did you do all these things? Now, one of the nice things about using Oscar is, you may say, okay, includes a welcome and getting started content. If you click on this needs idea section, then it'll actually give you what are best practices for course introductions, and you can get a lot of ideas on how to do that for each of these items. So that's the first assignment for this. So what you'll do is you'll create your syllabus. Once you're done, you're going to share the link, and then you're also going to share the link of your Oscar review, and then you'll click next, and then once you're done with that, we're going to go and we're going to go to the next assignment, which is going to be focused on the course introduction. So this is going to be very similar. The difference is, and for those of you who aren't familiar, so an introduction is going to be, so this is our course where we have 8 weeks of material. We put at the beginning, week 1 is a course introduction. Now, this is basically a more usable version of the syllabus. It's a lot shorter, a lot more personal. You got a photo of the instructor. We add details that will change. So for us, we tried to make the syllabus more static, and then the details that change from term to term will update here. Everything's nicely hyperlinked. We try to make it, more user-friendly. Overall, these are templates that we use in the course. We have a little more detail on some of the course requirements, and we have an intro for each of our courses. Now, so what this assignment does is we have you go through and we provide a sample course introduction and overview. So similar to what I just showed you. And what you want to do is you want to customize this for your course. If you already have one, then again, what you should do is upload it into a Google Doc, share it, and then try to improve it using the principles that we're teaching in this section. So once you're done with that, then you'll upload that. You'll again score it, and then once you're done scoring it, you can upload the link. So hopefully that's helpful for you in terms of some of the best practice for the syllabus and the course introduction, and that'll help you until we get into the next session on actually working on more of the details of the course. Thanks a lot.